yeah, come on. Yeah, 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 yeah, come on.
Hello, good evening. Happy Friday. Welcome to this Producertech live stream. It's going to be a little bit different from the regular ones that I do, which are normally covering audio techniques and generally making music. This one's going to be a little bit more informative. I'm just going to wait for a couple of, well, maybe a minute or so just to see if more people arrive. So while that's happening, I should explain the purpose of this stream. So it's going to be more informative than my usual ones, and we're going to be going into what exactly this fast track series is all about, because it's a totally new thing for Producertech and different from what we have been doing so far. It is for newcomers to production and probably to our website, rather than for the majority of our membership community, say, especially the people who've been with us for a while. For some of you brand new members, then this could be of interest. And you absolutely can attend these events, but they are separate from the membership and separate from our main library of courses. So you need to enroll on the fast track course or event separately. But as a member, you will have special discount to make it more affordable for you. So if you do want to attend and you're a member, then just hit us up using the contact form or in the community forum even, and we can sort that out for you. Also, this fast track event is the first 7-day program that we've ever done, but there will be more. And I totally plan on doing an intermediate to advanced level one a bit later in the year to help people go next level with their production. So that'll be one that will be a lot more suitable for the majority of our long-term membership community. And if you're watching this after today and you have a question that doesn't get answered, then please hit us up. And there will also be more of these streams to give you a chance later in the year of attending one live, if that's what you prefer. So, nothing in the chat so far, so I guess we'll just crack on. Feel free to jump in the chat at any point, of course, say hello, ask any questions, if you have them. I'll keep an eye on it. And also some of my colleagues should be around to answer questions and also post links in there and that kind of thing. So I'm going to work through something which is the info pack that you can find on the Fast Track event page where you can enroll. So I'm going to kind of work through it just to help you all understand what it's all about, really, and also address a few questions or a few comments we've had already. So yeah, let's dive straight in with it. So on the first page here, you can see the goal is to make your first track, or at least one of your first tracks, in 7 days, in a week. And that can seem like an impossible task as a beginner, I know. So, you know, this program is all about trying to simplify the process down into the main stages, so you can go from an empty project to a completed arrangement in only a week. And, you know, this seems like probably a good opportunity to address some comments that we had from the trailer, which has been up for a little while. And you can see there, in addition to someone promoting one of their tracks, which is quite common, we've got a little convo there between a couple of people saying that it takes them more than 7 days to produce a track. And I'm not sure if one of them is implying that it takes 20 years to produce one, or if they're maybe laughing out loud at the mere suggestion of it taking a week. But I totally get what they're trying to say. And for sure, every producer has these moments when, excuse me, when it feels like, yeah, every producer kind of has these moments when it feels like it takes, you know, forever to produce a track. And it really is dependent on so many things, namely what it is you're trying to achieve exactly, the style of music you're making, the process with which you go about things, how much you want to totally do yourself. That's quite a big one, and can make a huge amount of difference. And you see a big difference there in that area from producer to producer. And it doesn't really have any impact on how successful they are generally as well. Yeah, and so on. But ultimately, in my experience, there has never been a set amount of time that it takes to make a track. And unless you're insanely organized and follow the exact same process when you produce, then you'll probably also find down the road that the amount of time varies wildly, from literally hours. I've definitely made tracks in a day before, and I've spoken to a few people on my team. One person claimed to have made a track in 40 minutes. But yeah, I've made tracks in a day and released them. And on the other end of the scale, you know, some can take weeks or even months. I mean, there's endless rabbit holes that you can go down. But that's all down the road. And for this event, we're talking about people starting out. And for that reason, I think it's important to express clearly the intention of this event, which is to get beginners to make their first track, and to prove that with a simplified and concise set of steps, it's very much possible to create a simple arrangement that you're happy with. And I hope for any of you watching that you'll be among the people for whom that dream is realized. Just see, you got some questions. Swift Dreamer, I appreciate what you do for the producer community. Nice one. Hey, Rob, looks good. What equipment do I need to get started with the course? I'll address that as we go back over to the info PDF. I should also say just quickly that although we don't have any testimonials for this specific event yet, as they don't start till next month, I have done one course like this already last year, which we called Producertech Intensive, with all the same content and aims. And I did receive tracks from many of the people who attended it at the end of the week, so I can personally say it is possible. And as soon as these are up and running, we'll add testimonials and maybe even tracks from people who've attended it as, you know, proof of the pudding. So let's carry on working through the PDF. So this is for complete newcomers to production, and very simplified process that everyone should find really easy to follow. And I should say that for this particular course, we're looking at kind of more dance music. So all of the styles that you can see here, all of these genres would be relevant. That isn't to say that you won't be able to use the techniques for pop or, you know, some kind of backing tracks for a singer-songwriter or anything like that. But this specific course, particularly when looking at the arrangement and that kind of thing, is kind of focused on making dance floor music. So how does it work? So the lessons for each day are stripped down to basically focus on 7 of the main areas of producing. So there's a different kind of main area or main topic for each day. You get a number of different tutorials, a number of different lessons to follow through. Firstly, you get an introduction, which includes an outline of the subjects that we're going to cover, a set of objectives, and just to actually show you what these look like quickly. This is the kind of thing, so this is for day 4, you know, the different topics that we cover when working on arrangement, so composition skills, software skills, music theory, and MIDI instruments. And although some of this might sound scary, things like synth controls, intro to ADSR and cutoff, it's all very, very easy to follow. It doesn't go too detailed or, you know, intimidating in any way, but you can see a lot of different topics covered each day. And once I've covered the outline of the topics, I give you a series of different, very clear objectives to kind of work towards. So when doing a dance floor based track, you want to make sure, you know, sections are very clear and distinct and have very specific purposes and know exactly what you're trying to do when making the track. So yeah, this is the kind of thing we have in each day in the intro section. And yeah, and then following that intro, we have a real-time production session where I put it all together into, you know, a session that lasts from generally about 20 to 40 minutes, showing you an example of how it's all put into practice. Let's just check for questions. I know this course is geared for beginners, but will this course go over approaches to setting up project templates? This one doesn't really go into templates yet. I would say that's more for the advanced course. Yeah, we don't really look at templates specifically on this one. It's something that we look at in our member community for sure. So next slide. Yeah, each day also comes with bonus tutorials, and these are little kind of add-ons each day which show either simplified workflow suggestions, so things that can save you a lot of time, things like working with Loop Cloud, using different pattern presets there, showing you how you can kind of get the building blocks for tracks pretty quickly and easily to save yourself a bit of time. And if you're struggling with those sorts of areas, but equally some of them are also slightly more complicated or more challenging, should I say, suggestions if you find what I'm doing too easy. So you can kind of use these to go in different directions depending on how you're finding the overall level. And yeah, there's a project that is built up, the main course project, in the real-time production session, and then also a secondary course project where I build up a house track that's done in these bonus tutorials. These are the subjects that you'll learn in the week, so there's lots of different things covered there. And if you've absorbed everything fully, then by the end of the week, you will have all of the knowledge necessary to put together a track and make sure it's sounding as good as you can make it at this point. So what do you get when you enroll? And I should say that you when you sign up, bear in mind, this is a live event. So I haven't mentioned them yet, but you get the 7-day program, which is 7+ hours of tutorials. Like I said, about an hour on average each day, a bit longer on the last day. So yeah, amounts to over 7 hours of tutorials for the whole week. You also get 3 live Zoom sessions to supplement that. So you get one at the start of the week, where you have a session with me and anyone else attending the week. You get one in the middle and then one at the end. So this just gives you additional support as you go, if you have any questions or if there's anything you're stuck on. So they are live sessions, and just before the event starts, which is the first one's on the 27th of February, you'll be sent details for how to unlock the fast track course. And each day you'll be sent information about what you'll be learning and links to the Zoom sessions and all that kind of thing. So it's a combination of course content from the site and also live interaction with me. And in addition to that, you also get 3 additional courses here. You've got Beginner's Guide to Beats, you've got Beginner's Guide to Music Theory, and also The Art of Sampling. So these are courses that you might want to use to bolster your learning during the week, or of course access them after. And all of these courses, all of these tutorials are yours for life, so you can access them after the event, of course, as well. And in addition to that, you can see you get 2 free sample packs to kick off your personal library, with a Discotheque from Niche Audio and Coffee Breaks, one from Raw Cuts. They're both great labels, so it's a great start to your own sample library there. What are the requirements? Finally getting round to your question, Matt. So all you need to take this course is a computer of some kind that's running a DAW, ideally. That is a digital audio workstation. Things like Ableton Live, for instance. Ableton Live is the one that I teach on the course specifically. So if I had to recommend one, I would say get yourself a copy of Ableton. I also recommend you grab Loop Cloud, because I do show that a fair bit on the course too, and quite a lot in the bonus tutorials specifically. So that's all you need kind of kit wise. Obviously you need a good internet connection, or even average probably. And yeah, as you can see, it's beginner friendly. So the course is very easy to follow. I've made it as simple as possible. But despite that, and because when I did the Producertech intensive event, we had people who had literally zero knowledge of music software. So they had some music skills, but they'd literally never used any kind of music software before. So in kind of response to that, and to help people out, I've actually created a completely free getting started course. It is a work in progress. So at the moment it's 90 minutes long, but I say work in progress, it's just going to keep expanding. At the moment I've done the basics of audio and MIDI. So anyone who just has no idea what that even means can watch this course, follow along, and just start to get an idea for, how to create music using audio and MIDI, so that when you come into the fast track course, you've got, some experience of that and you kind of hit the ground running. Otherwise, it just might all be completely foreign to you and you might get completely lost. So I've made this course as a completely free entry point to anyone who wants to get into production but has zero experience. And the next things I'm going to add to it are equipment guides. I'm already working on these to help people know what sort of kit they might need to produce music and to kind of expand their studio. There's tons planned for the course, including just intro to things like frequency, even a cable guide, stuff like that, stuff that I think could just be really, really useful. So some of the aims, by the way, with the lessons we've got in there already, it's just to help you understand what samples are, what one-shots and loops are, how to make your own samples, what a music software browser is, how to loop the timeline, how to combine samples to make music, how to use MIDI instruments in music software, how to add MIDI notes to MIDI tracks, and so on. It's all these kinds of things. So if that all sounds like stuff that you can't even comprehend at this stage, then yeah, check out the free Getting Started course, and hopefully it'll give you a good start. And even if you don't want to do anything with us course-wise, you know, it'll be a great start either way. So, hey, Sam, thanks for joining us. So, Matt, I heard if you have a PC, you can get Cakewalk DAW free if you can't afford Ableton. But what's the cheapest version of Ableton? As I heard, it's good. Yeah, so it's you can get Ableton Lite. I believe that's actually free. Or if not, it's incredibly cheap. What's it called? I think it's called Ableton Live Intro, which is a very cut down version of it, but will be enough to follow on the course. Equally, you can just get the full version through a 90-day free trial. So it's on, they expanded it out to 90 days for free during the pandemic, and they've just kept that going, which is awesome. So yeah, I recommend just getting the big version, jumping in at the deep end and going for it. Also gives you a bit of time to save up, so you can purchase it at the end of that period. So that's my advice personally. Yeah, Swift Dreamer backing me up there. Free 90-day trial. Yeah. So if you're interested in this free Getting Started course, then you can find links to it in the latest blog article that we've got at producertech.com. Or if anyone wants it right now, Sam can drop a link to it in the chat as well. So yeah, how much time do you need to take part? My advice personally is for you to give as much time as possible that you can. It's a week long. So if you can clear your schedule completely for a week, then excellent, and really kind of commit. I would say a minimum of 3 hours a day is required, because it's going to take you at least an hour to go through the tutorials. And then, at least an hour or two to put them into practice. And obviously some days have the supplementary Zoom sessions as well. So really you need kind of 4 hours a day. And if you've got more, then obviously the more you have, the better it's going to be, and the more you'll get out of it. So yeah, if you can clear the schedule, do. But if you are doing it around a job, then make sure you've got at least 3 to 4 hours per day to work on it. Will Producertech possibly have tutorials for FL Studio users? I've seen tutorials for Ableton Logic, but not FL Studio. Yeah, it's a funny one, that. But I know a lot of people do produce with it, but very few producers that I've come across do. And it's quite hard to find people that teach it. I don't have time to sort of learn another DAW. I already teach Live and some Logic as well, and even a bit of Reason occasionally. The only people we have on our site currently are the Cyborgs. I've done a bit of course content on there. I think Singo Makers might have done a bit in FL Studio as well. I forget. But yeah, that is about it. As soon as I come across someone who teaches FL Studio, then I could we could well bring them into the Producertech family. I've just never managed to find someone, never come across someone. Is it easy to transfer instructions for Ableton to Bitwig Studio? I would say so. Yeah, they're so similar that, for the most part, you're going to find it pretty easy to transfer from one to the other. There's a few little bits I'd say that are different, but and it also depends on the course, very much. If you're asking about if it's easy to transfer instructions from this course to Bitwig Studio, then I would say it's really easy, because this one is incredibly simple. It really looks at the very basics of In fact, we could just dive straight in with looking at what's covered each day. Oh, just before that then, so if you can't make the event, then we'll happily cancel the enrollment and refund the payment, or we can keep you on the list for the next event. At the moment, they're happening monthly. That's the plan. So the first one's 27th of Feb, and then every month after that, each one lasting a week. Yeah, and there's the price. Full price $199.95 with 50% off for the event. So it's a great deal. Here's the lesson schedule. So yeah, in day one, we're creating the beat, and this is mostly done using one-shot audio samples and, adding them to audio tracks and building it that way, which is a very clear way, I think, for beginners to understand how a beat is constructed, and very easy to do. You're dragging around blocks. You can very clearly see, what's going on. There's nothing really confusing about it. So, so that's day one. Day two, adding the bass, and we extend that by showing how bass is added in the same kind of way, using samples initially on audio tracks, but then importing them into a sampler and showing the differences with how that works, and how that can make your life a lot easier. So that's day two. Day three is find the hook, which is obviously a huge one and very, very much genre dependent. But on this course, I show how to make an engaging kind of chord sequence, and it's done very easily using a chords preset. But I show in the bonus tutorials ways of coming up with your own one, and using various tools to help with that, like Scalar. Day four, we lay it out. So once we've got the three main kind of elements, you can actually create an arrangement from that, which is just very, very bare bones, but at least it shows you what exactly you want to happen in each section. So you've got where the beats and bass are going to be, and exactly what you're trying to do across the whole timeline, and from that you can then add various elements, which we do in the next few days to kind of beef it up and embellish it. Day five, we make an ARP, which is an arpeggio, which is another kind of key sound that you hear in dance music, and we do it very simply using MIDI tools. So we got a chords effect, an ARP effect, but again, I show the full range from that kind of simple workflow of dragging these devices to the device chain and then creating a kind of one note ARP with a single finger, up to building your own ARP using the MIDI editor. So I show the kind of full range there, as well as then how you add it to the arrangement to help smooth over different sections, to add interest, to make a really hypnotic drop, that kind of thing. So that's day five. Day six is embellish with FX, and this is quite a big one, and I talk about both FX in terms of FX sounds, so individual noises that you can add to build tension and keep the flow going and add extra impact, as well as how to use audio effects, so devices that are used to shape sounds. But we don't go too deep into that because this is very beginner level, but we do look at reverb, EQ, delay, and yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Maybe filters a little bit as well, but yeah, you'd be amazed how far you can get using just a very small number of effects, because we're kind of sticking to the absolute main ones. And on the last day, it's final tweaks and mixing, so adding the last few touches, analyzing the track and kind of working out what bits need more adding, and we don't go mad with it. We don't keep going forever and ever building up different layers. It's all about getting the essentials in there to help people understand what different areas of the arrangement need to do. And that's kind of session one. This day's broken into two sessions. That's session one, and session two is then focused purely on the mixing, although obviously there's been a little bit of mixing going on pretty much constantly throughout the week. But this one is focused on really kind of looking at the core aspects of mixing and any pitfalls you might face and how to overcome them, how to make sure there aren't any issues, and it's all sounding as good and as polished as it can be at this point. So that is the week, and at the very end of the week you have the option of submitting your track to me for feedback, and I'll provide detailed feedback and let you know what aspects need the most work and what I recommend you focus on next to, take your production up a notch from where you're at. So that is that is the main outline. I don't see any more questions, so that's good. Let's have just a quick glimpse at the project. So this is the project made on the course during the week. This is in the real-time production sessions that I mentioned earlier, and you can see, it's not too intimidating for a beginner. I've kept it very simple, very clear, and even though there's actually a lot of tracks here, quite a few of them are sort of doubled up because as it's beginner level, I didn't want to go into things like automation and getting too overboard with effects. So I've created duplicates of certain tracks so those tracks can be affected rather than having effects turn on and off through the arrangement and get a bit complicated with it in that way. So in that way, in doing that, it's all incredibly clear and you can see exactly what each part is for and understand why the effects are there. So looking at the different tracks here, you can see I haven't gone mad with effects at all. It's just EQ, reverb for the most part, a little bit of delay as well, and it's amazing how far you can get with that in order to make a track sound polished. So these ones look a bit more complicated because I was introducing the concept of automation, in that effects don't necessarily have to be static, but they can be kind of changing over time. And some of Live's effects have that kind of modulation built in. So auto pan, for instance, is one of those. And the filter here has an LFO as well for changing its frequencies over time. So that was just a little demonstration of that with the ARP line. So nothing too scary for beginners. And does the course cover any basic music theory? Yeah, we go into the basics of it, sure. When we're creating, there's a few stages actually throughout the week. So we have the when we create the bass line, I talk a little bit about working out the key from that, and I give you a few different pointers and a few different tips for working it out using different devices in Live if you don't have the best ear. And then once you've established the key, I talk about how you need to make sure that any other melodic sounds like the hook work in relation to that. So we cover it a bit on that day as well. And at the end of that day in the bonus tutorials, I start to talk more about key and different chords, different chord types, which you can also, of course, bypass if that's not something you're interested in and music theory is just not your bag. And then later on, I think in the ARP lesson, we look more at actually scales and that kind of thing, because we're introducing different notes at that point, more complex kind of melodic lines. So we briefly touch on scales and what it means to have a specific kind of key signature beyond just major and minor, although actually I think we just mainly cover major and minor in this one. Actually, do we go into Dorian? We might go into one of the modes. If you do want to learn more about that, though, one of the courses that comes for free with this event is the Beginner's Guide to Music Theory for Producers, which covers all that in much more detail. So you get that for free with this event as well. So yeah, if you're wanting to learn about theory, then this event is, it's a very good thing to sign up for. So, so that is, in a nutshell, everything the fast track is about. So, so if anyone has any more questions, I will answer them now. Just to recap on a few things then, for anyone who joined a bit late, this is the Fast Track series. It is a 7-day event specifically for beginners, newcomers to production. If you are a total newcomer to production, then we have a free course to help you out before you take the event. But that course is free to anyone. So even if you don't want to follow our events or whatever you want to do with your life, you can take the free course anyway and just learn some of the absolute fundamentals with production. Things like what is audio, what is MIDI, what is music software, how do I get set up, what equipment do I need to buy, etc., etc. But whether you take that or not, the event is a week-long, designed to get you to make a track in 7 days with a very simplified, stripped-down process. The events are going to run once a month. The first event starts on the 27th of February. And yeah, it'll just be once a month after that. MatCap, I think this project isn't possible in Ableton Lite due to its 8 audio and MIDI track limit. That is true. That is true. You wouldn't be able to open the project in Ableton Intro. So for that reason, I recommend, as I've said, getting the 90-day free trial for Ableton, which is the complete full package. As you get that 3 months for free, then you will be able to follow along with absolutely everything, and it gives you a long time to get to know it fully. What else? This is the first fast track 7-day course we're doing. We're going to be doing another one designed, I'll probably call it something like Going Next Level, but it'll be intermediate to advanced level and focused on how to take your production up a notch. The things that we don't cover on this beginner's course, by the way, are things like layering sounds, things like group processing, detailed. We don't go into effects in massive amounts of detail at all. It's all very, very simple, more or less, and very, very easy to follow. We don't go into kind of, parallel processing. We don't talk about send effects. There's no automation on the course at all. And sound design. I do actually include a little lesson on kind of intro to sound design to help you decide whether it's something you're into or not. That's on one of the last days, day 6, I think, to help you understand how to design your own basic effects like risers and stuff like that using synthesizers. So there is a little bit of that, but obviously not much. It's all very kind of basic stuff. Hi Rob, is this only an Ableton course? As I mentioned before, you could follow it with other DAWs. You could replicate, day 1 is create a beat, and that's done using one-shot samples. You can very easily do that in any other DAW, as long as you do know how to create an audio track, how to import a sample, and how to move it around, and how to maybe loop a section of the arrangement. Those are the sorts of things you need to know for day 1. For day 2, you need to know how to import a sample into a sampler. So if you're using another DAW, like Logic, you'd need to know how to get it into the what is it called, EXS sampler on there. But often it's as simple as kind of drag and drop. But as long as you know that, then you'll be able to kind of program basic MIDI lines with it. So easy enough to do. If you are a complete newcomer, I really recommend doing it with Ableton. Just just to make your life simpler, and then you can follow exactly what I do. but it's all fairly basic stuff. Day 3, we're creating a hook, and that's done using chord presets. So you'd need to know how to open up the instrument. But again, then just play it with whatever keyboard you have, or program it in the MIDI editor. So this is all stuff that's easy to do in any DAW, as long as you know some of the basics. But if you don't know the basics, then I recommend you use Ableton Live, because I'll show you the exact process. So you won't have to figure anything out at all. No worries, Daryl, all good. Albeit it's a pity that there are no subtitles for other languages. Yeah, we don't have that. I don't think that's a feature in Flow Player yet. That's the player technology that we use in our learning area. It's only something that you have in YouTube. Yeah, apologies for that. I hope that I do speak a bit more slowly and clearly than some other guys. I've got quite a lot of experience teaching to non-native English speakers, so. But yeah, subtitles is something we're always kind of looking to add new features to the site in general. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's something that Flow Player incorporates at sometime soon. So yeah, if there are no more questions, we'll end the stream. Yeah, you'll be able to go back and watch this stream if you've just joined and you want to find out all about these fast track events. Equally, you can go to the blog article, which says a little bit in there. You can go to the landing page. You can download the info PDF from the landing page, which is the one that I've just shown in this presentation. And yeah, that's it. So thanks everyone. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of your days, evenings, wherever you are. Oh, another question from Daryl. Fast Track starts on Feb 27th and runs for 7 days straight. Exactly, yes. Yes, it's a monthly event that lasts for 7 days. A day or two before the event, you'll get sent all the information. You'll get a code to unlock the week's content, which is up to an hour of tutorials every day. And in addition to following along with the content throughout the week, there are supplementary Zoom sessions, 3 of them at the start, middle, and end, where you can interact live with myself, ask questions, get support, get feedback, all that kind of thing. You also get 3 additional courses for free, and all of that content is yours for life. And you can submit a track at the very end of the week for feedback, and I'll give you personalized feedback and recommendations of the areas you should focus on next to improve your production. Yeah, finally you get some bonus content, like a couple of sample packs from Niche Audio and Raw Cuts, and some other little perks from plugin boutiques and discount coupons, stuff like that. Any cost to Producertech members? I'll come back to your other question, DJ Deem, in a moment. Any cost to Producertech members? Yes, it's a separate thing. I said, yeah, right at the start, it's a separate thing from our membership. This is designed to be a live and interactive thing, and more for complete newcomers, although I am starting to work on a kind of level 2 version of this, which is going to be intermediate to advanced, which will be probably more suitable to a lot of our members, especially people who've been around for a while. But it is a separate thing, so it's not part of our website and our library of courses. So you need to sign up to it separately. If anyone who is a member and wants to join it, though, hit us up on support@producertech.com or using the contact form, and we'll send you a special coupon to give you a bit of discount. So members will get a special price. DJ Dean, would you recommend a MIDI keyboard or a pad-based device like Machine for beginners? It's funny you ask. I'm actually working on equipment guide tutorials right now, which are getting added to the free course, completely free course on the absolute basics that I've made. And as you'll see in those lessons, when these next two come out, what I consider to be the absolute basics for any producer is a computer, some kind. It's basically the requirements for this course: a computer of some kind, some music software, ideally a DAW if you can extend to that. But there are even free versions, things like Amp Studio Online, stuff like that, and a pair of headphones as good as you can manage. Those are the kind of three essentials, I think. If you can extend to kind of 50 quid for some headphones, something like that, if you have the budget for that, then you can produce quite well on headphones of that level, especially when you're first starting out. In addition to that, what you get should really be based around what exactly you're trying to do, what skills you have, all that kind of thing. So I don't include a MIDI controller in the absolute essentials list for beginners, also because you can use your QWERTY keyboard to play instruments. So unless you are a keyboard player, or unless you want to learn to play keys, then I wouldn't say you definitely need a MIDI keyboard. But of course, if you have the budget for it, then I would personally recommend a simple MIDI keyboard as something just playing chords, because it helps you with making more expressive music, if you want to make more expressive music and not mindless techno. So as a complete beginner, it's up to you really with the MIDI keyboard, but a simple kind of 2-octave MIDI keyboard, like the Novation launch key range or the Akai APC. Those are good kind of options for a beginner for sure. Pad-based device. Those ones do come, I think, both with pads, simple pads for entering stuff. Machine is a different beast, really, because it's a more comprehensive instrument. It's an amazing instrument, amazing tool. I teach that separately as well, actually. But I wouldn't put it on an essential list or anything. It's more like if you're really into making music in that kind of a way, with an old school format of those drum pads laid out like that, and you want a really good performance tool, and you want to do finger drumming, all that kind of thing, Machine is amazing for that. But it's definitely not on my kind of essentials list for beginners. So I think that's that. Like I said, if you want to enroll today, head on over. It starts on the 27th of Feb, so you've still got a month to sign up. But I hope to see you at the event, and really looking forward to these kicking off, because it is a constant pleasure to help people kind of overcome any fears or any feelings that music isn't for them, or music production is too difficult. With my program, you'll see how the process can be really simplified and really focused. If you really focus on these concise steps, then I'm confident you'll be able to put together an arrangement that you're happy with after the week. So I hope you'll join me, and and make your first track in only 7 days. So that's it for me. If you have any more questions, like I said, hit us up on the contact form or support@producertech.com. And enjoy the rest of your evenings and have a great weekend. And I'll see you all soon.